Okay, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that haven't been around, I'm currently in my third month of self-employment. And for those of you that have been around, I wanted to give an update about how things are going and talk about some newer developments in my self-employment journey. So as a recap, for the first couple months of self-employment, I took things pretty easy. I was a bit burnt out from my 3 years in client services, and I wanted to decompress from that. And I also wanted to take some time to do things that were important to me, like learning. So I took a few online courses, and I also wanted to prioritize spending time with family. So I saw my parents and my sister. So that was great. And I also decided to make a few of what Daniel Vassallo would call small bets. And the main one of those was joining a podcast. I made a video about my podcast, and I hope that some of you listen along with us. I always knew that contracting or freelancing was going to be part of this whole self-employment journey, mostly because of this chart that I mentioned before from Daniel Vassallo as well. You can see he's been a big influence, but basically the idea is that freelancing provides a solid, stable, and predictable income when you're pursuing things that are a bit more risky or volatile. So you're trying to balance the overall risk. And I knew for myself, I just didn't want to be in a place where I was not making any income and where I was just kind of burning through savings, hoping that something worked. That sounds stressful to me. That's what a lot of indie hackers or people who want to start their own software company do, and it just doesn't sound that appealing. So I always knew I was going to do some freelancing. The question was, what was that freelancing going to look like? So my ideal arrangement was doing 15 to 20 hours a week and then spending the rest of the time on my own small bets, doing my website investing, which I just made a video about, and trying to build the SaaS or whatever else I decided was worth putting effort into, but it didn't end up quite working out that way. In addition, I didn't intend to start looking for freelance work until July 1st because I was going to do a few things this summer, like helping some family move and kind of just taking it easy, continuing to do basically what I did in those first 2 months. But then I kind of moved things up to June 1st, and then a few things happened that made me move the date up even further. The first thing that happened was that I had an unexpected, very large tax bill of $4,000 that was completely my fault due to not getting my withholding correct in my paycheck. So if you're unfamiliar, in the US, you can have your income tax withheld from your paycheck, and in theory, if you do it correctly, you don't owe very much at the end of the year, and you may even get a refund. But I had screwed mine up, and so we owed the government $4,000. And so the choice was basically take that from the money that I'd saved to do self-employment and cut down my runway, or go back and try and get some more billable work. The same thing happened basically at the same time with an ER bill that I had. So I've been struggling with back problems for basically the past year, and I ended up having to go to the emergency room. I still don't know exactly what that's going to cost, but because of the way America works, it's probably going to be several $1,000s. And so again, I was left with this question of, do I pay with it out of the savings that I set aside for these few years, or do I try and go and get some billable work and balance things out that way? And so I decided to try and get freelance work a bit earlier than I expected so that I didn't have to cut my runway down. I won't belabor the whole story because I just made a video about it, but basically after doing some interviewing, I ended up with a full-time but temporary contract role. And so the question you might have is, how does this fit in the overall plan? And to answer that, I'd reference that chart again. So even though I'm working full-time, I see this contracting as kind of providing a stable, consistent source of income, even if it is temporary, that will hopefully level out the kind of volatile ups and downs of what I hope is stuff to come, like building a SaaS maybe, or having things and sources of income that are a little bit more inconsistent. This full-time but temporary work has also opened me up to the idea of seasonality in work. So I really liked in college when I had a semester to work really hard and then had a break. So I kind of like this setup of working hard but for a very defined stretch and then having time to rest afterwards. So if nothing else, I think the current arrangement could be a good test of doing something like that. Maybe a 6 months on, 6 months off type of deal, or a 5 months on, 7 months off type of deal, something like that. And so I'll update you guys as I go along, but I think this could be maybe a fun way to approach work. Another way this fits into the overall plan is it gives me more funds to play with. So I just made a video about the fact that I've chosen to focus on website investing, but the thing about website investing is you actually have to have funds to invest. And so working full-time is going to give me a good way to get money to then buy websites and hopefully hopefully grow them, maybe flip them. I don't really know what that's going to end up looking like either, but I will update you as I go along on that particular path as well. I know this is a pretty self-indulgent video. Honestly, it's partly for myself as well, to just have a record of how things are going, what my thought process is, to maybe look back on one day and just get a sense of where I was. But I hope there are things in my journey that you can pluck out and find helpful for yourself. Maybe you're thinking about going the freelance route. Maybe you're a salary developer, but you're interested in website investing. Maybe you're just interested in exploring alternative approaches to work. If any of those or none of those apply to you, I still hope that there's something valuable in here. Let me know, are you enjoying these? Are you enjoying getting to see more of me as a person, what's going on in my life? Or do you want me to just focus on interview questions? I would love to hear from you, so feel free to comment below. Thanks so much for watching to the end. Remember, stay hungry, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.